The American Civil War, also known as the War between North and South, began on April 12, 1861, when the Confederates attacked Fort Sumter in South Carolina. The war ended on April 9, 1865, with General Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox. But what was the cause of this bloody conflict? Let's look at the major factors that led to the war. Slavery. Slavery was a key issue that divided the country into two camps. Northern states, where industry and free labor played a major role, opposed slavery. Southern states, whose economies depended on the labor of slaves on plantations, defended the system. The conflict over the expansion of slavery into new territories was particularly acute because each new territory could change the balance of power in Congress. Slavery became a moral and ethical stain on U.S. history, emphasizing the injustice and cruelty of the system. Northern states saw slavery as an archaic and inhumane institution, while Southern states cynically used slave labor for economic gain, ignoring the suffering of millions of people. Slavery was not only an economic issue, but also an issue of human rights and dignity. It is important to note that slavery existed in other countries as well, but in the United States it took on particularly cruel and inhumane forms, causing outrage and resistance. Economic differences. The North and South had different economic systems. The North was an industrialized region with booming industry, while the South remained agrarian, with an economy based on plantations and slave labor. These economic differences led to different views on trade policy and taxation. The North sought protectionist tariffs to protect its industry, while the South was interested in free trade for cotton exports. These economic differences emphasize not only the differences in regional development, but also the selfishness of Southern elites who placed their financial interests above the national good. They were willing to destroy the country just to preserve their privileges and wealth. For example, the northern states sought to develop railroads and industry, while the southern states focused on plantation farming, which led to economic imbalance and mutual distrust. Political divisions. The political scene was also divided. The North and South had different political priorities and parties. The Republican Party, founded in 1854, opposed the extension of slavery to new territories, which was strongly opposed by Southerners. The election of Abraham Lincoln as president in 1860 was the last straw for many Southern states who decided to secede from the Union. The political divisions demonstrate the inability of American society at the time to compromise. It was a time when national leaders were more concerned with their power and influence than the unity of the country and the welfare of its citizens. The Southern states feared that Lincoln and his party would try to completely eradicate slavery, which would destroy their economic system and social fabric. This led the Southern states to begin the process of secession in an effort to preserve their interests and way of life. The issue of states' rights. The Southern states insisted on their right to make decisions independent of the federal government, especially on issues such as slavery. The North, on the other hand, supported a strong federal government, which further increased the disagreement. The issues of state sovereignty and the right of secession became central to the debate before the war. The issue of states' rights was often used as a cover to defend slavery. It was convenient rhetoric for those who wanted to maintain their privileges without concern for the humanitarian and moral aspects of their actions. Southern politicians argued that each state had the right to determine its own destiny without interference from the federal government, which in reality was an excuse for the continuation of slavery. The North, on the other hand, insisted on the need for a unified policy for the entire country to avoid disintegration and chaos. Social and cultural differences. The North and South also differed socially and culturally. The North was dominated by a culture of cities and industrial progress, while the South was dominated by an agrarian culture with traditions and ways of life associated with slavery. These differences further exacerbated the mistrust and hostility between the two regions. The social and cultural differences show how deeply divided the nation was. It was a time when shared values and goals gave way to regional prejudices and selfishness, making peaceful coexistence impossible. Northerners and Southerners lived in different worlds with different ideas of freedom, progress, and justice. These differences influenced their political views and intensified the conflict. The North, with its emphasis on industrial development and urban lifestyles, viewed the South as backward and archaic, while the South prided itself on its agrarian culture and traditions, seeing the North as a threat to its livelihood. The American Civil War was a complex and multifaceted conflict caused by a combination of political, economic, social, and cultural factors. Understanding the causes of this war helps to better understand the importance of unity and equality in today's world. This war also shows how easily humanity can descend into violence and destruction if the underlying issues and divisions are ignored. We must remember the lessons of the past and strive for justice and understanding in the future. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and put a like if you enjoyed this video. Leave your comments and share your thoughts on the causes of the Civil War. Thank you for watching.